In April 2004, a secret grand jury convened in Santa Barbara County to hear from witnesses brought forth by District Attorney Tom Sneddon to testify against Michael Jackson, including his present accuser. The jury then handed down an indictment against the entertainer on charges. The decision means that a majority of the members of the grand jury felt, though evidence existed in the case against Jackson to bring it to trial. However, a California grand jury is simply a function of the prosecution. The defense does not have the opportunity to present its case, and isn't even present at the proceedings. Therefore, with D.A. Snedden vociferously offering everything he has against Michael Jackson, and with no rebuttal or cross-examination of witnesses from Jackson's team, how could the result have been anything but an indictment? After their indictment to make matters even more complicated, Michael suddenly dismissed his attorneys, Mark Rigos and Benjamin Brofman. They were replaced by Thomas Marzullo Jr., another well-known criminal defense attorney who represented actor Robert Blank in his murder case until they parted company, citing irreconcilable differences. In an interview, Brofman indicated that the decision did not come directly from Michael, though he believes Michael had a hand in it, rather from advisors and family members. He further added that the parting of ways was for reasons we choose not to discuss publicly. It was reported that Michael's brothers Randy and Jermaine were influential in the matter, as was later Muhammad of the Nation of Islam. It now seems clear that there are members of Michael's family who have future career plans in mind for him, and probably for themselves as well. They are trying to protect their brother, which is admirable, and perhaps their own interest, which is probably not as condemnable, but also not particularly surprising if one reviews family history. Again, one is forced to wonder how much decision making power Michael has or even wants in his present dilemma, and how many other key players with mixed agendas may enter stage left and exit stage right before the Jackson show plays before judge and jury. It is obviously a tragic turn of events if Michael Jackson is being targeted with untrue allegations. At this writing, he is enduring the saddest, most agoniz- agonizing period of his life. Ironically, prior to this ordeal, he was beginning to rise to the challenge of looking at his role in a new and profound way, trying to come to terms with the ugliness of some in his past. He seemed to be founded by a measure of commitment, perhaps for the first time as he raised his children. He had also just begun to rediscover the joy of music. Finally, the Jordan Chandler matter of a decade ago was beginning to fade from public consciousness. Then this new thing happened to appear so awful as to say waste to any personal progress he had made, sending him back years, perhaps making it impossible for him to ever reconcile any of his troubles and take full responsibilities for his choices, indeed his life. However, until he does so, perhaps he is destined to repeat the same mistakes, as if he has the beleaguered star of a horrible Greek tragedy. In truth, there seems to be never a time when he is free of crisis. What other famous person had these kinds of problems? Is it that Michael is so different, so unusual, so extraordinary, so famous, that he is an easy target for one kind of explanation or another? Be it one of the many hundreds of lawsuits filed against him, or now a second allegation. Or does he somehow bring madness onto himself by being arrogant or naive or both? Perhaps he is just one of the unluckiest people ever to be in show business. You have to feel sorry for the guy. However, the fact still remains, despite his background, his childhood fame, and adult superstardom, at the end of the day, it is not reductive of who he is and the challenges he faces to remember that Michael Jackson is only human, no more than a 9 to 5 worker trying to support a large family and a meager wage, and no less than a wealthy socialite without a care in the world. Like everyone who draws breath, he is ultimately responsible for making his own decisions. He is a grown man, not a child. He writes his own story, bringing into focus the characters he chooses to have in his world. No one forced Jordan Chandler and his father on him, and no one forced Gunnar Visa and his mother on him either. Casting those people to play roles in his life has amounted to some of Michael's biggest mistakes. If not, there is little doubt. It's sad, tragic even. He's such a privileged person, a man heaped with every blessing of fame, fortune, and family. One wonders why there seems no way, then no way at all, for Michael Jackson to lead a good, dignified, and happy life.